it's Desiree, and I am here with Birch Press Design, and we are going to feature the Adornment Peony, which is a different type of a layering die. So it's got a solid image, and then it has an outline. So we're going to be doing some die inlay techniques today. And for the sentiment, I am going to use Contempo Greetings. I love them. They're easy. Okay. Ink smooshing. Here we go. So I pulled out some distress inks, pulled out aged mahogany and abandoned coral. So I'm starting with the abandoned coral, and I'm not adding, I'm working. Okay. So I have a glass mat, and I love my glass mat. But to do the ink smooshing technique that I like to do, I like to work on a silicone mat because it beads up. If I put the ink on my glass mat and add water, I'm going to get more of a watercolor effect, but I want a blotchy effect. So you can see how I'm getting those blotches, those dots, and that's because of the silicone mat. I also go straight down onto the ink and come back up. I don't swoosh, move the paper back and forth on that mat. When you do that, you're going to get more of a watercolor effect. It's going to blend. The less water you add, the deeper and more intense your color will be. The more water you add, the less intense and deep the color will be. So I'm not adding that much water, especially when it comes to the greens. Now for the greens, I'm using bundled sage and Forest moss, or forest moss, because I want that two-tone effect. I am putting a lot of ink down because I want these colors deep and rich. So one of the best ways that I can explain how I like my ink smooshing to look, and this is going to sound absolutely horrible, but especially when you used aged mahogany, it looks like a death scene because of the way that it blotches up. It's like splatter, you know, like somebody's getting shot, you know, stuff like that. That's the look when it comes to ink smooshing that I like, that I lean towards. I'm not saying the other versions are wrong. My goodness, I like using them too. It all depends. Like if I use those a lot, if I'm using a background or want to create a smooth looking background, and if I don't want to take the time with a brush. I am using my Ranger heat tool to dry these. I do like to let these normally dry naturally. You just get a different effect when it comes to the distress inks and the oxides when you let them dry naturally, because they continue to move on the paper. And I just absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I'm flicking some clear water on these just to give some more texture and dimension. So now let's get to the die cutting. All right. So I'm going to use some solid cardstock for the bases because one of the dies is the base, the entire image. No cutout, no nothing. Then I'm going to use the overlay layer, and I'm going to cut it from the ink smush background. So of course the peony is going to have the red, and I'm going to position that so I have the different variation in colors. Same thing with the leaves, but then I'm going to come in with a solid cardstock that's maybe that's like a deep burgundy for the peony and a dark green, a darker olive green for the leaves. Once I have these solid pieces cut, now since I used Bristol cardstock for my ink smush, and I always either use, watercolor paper. I either always use watercolor paper or Bristol when I do my ink smushing. I wanted a little more texture. So what's nice is since it's a little bit thicker of a cardstock, definitely thicker, I didn't lose all my pieces. So I was able to come in underneath with my pokey tool, and all the pieces stayed within each of the die cuts except one. Somehow I lost one piece. I'm not sure how I did it. I'm sure I'll find it, but somehow I lost it, but we have a way to fix it. I'm going to put the outline down first. Now, this would absolutely be beautiful too if you cut one image out with pattern paper and then the solid color again. So you can really do a lot with these. I'm going to get all of my outlines down first. And what I've done is I've cut double of the solid white cardstock because I really want this to have some thickness to that. So I cut 2 of each of those and then I'm going to layer them. So I've got a nice thick, almost a chipboard type piece going on. Once I have all of those put together, I'm then going to start my die cut inlay. So what's really fun is when you do this, you can kind of see what they're going to look like before you piece them into your piece. But because we have that different color cardstock that we used for the outline, you kind of don't know what you're going to get. So it's like a fun puzzle when it comes to die cut inlay. You know, that type of technique. You could get many cards by cutting many different colors and creating rainbows and creating all of these fun different images. Now I'm using my wax pencil to pick up the ink smushed pieces, and then I'm just coming in with my finger or my paper creaser and just pushing down in because I'm just adding glue down onto that piece. Now these outlines from the ink smush, I do keep those. I have this tub that's filled with all kinds of die cuts that because I die cut a lot and I always die cut more than what I need just to make sure. You never know how much I'm going to add. So whatever's left over, I just throw into this little tiny pot that I have off to the side. So I've got 2 of the leaves and you can see that they really do look different than what they looked like when they were all together. You can see more of a definition. You can see more of those shades coming out. You know, maybe that leaf is looking like it's bent a little bit, depending upon the way the ink is falling. I love the way the peony came out and the way, because you can strategically place your die cut, you can see through it. So you can see what's going to come through and what's not. I have highlights on some of these petals. I have deeper petals as I'm going towards the center, which I think is great. Again, complete randomness can just absolutely give you great results. This is a great way to practice the let it go that I like to say. It's tough to let things go. You know, we are set, this is how this should look. This is what this should look like. But to just have fun and to add colors and to enjoy the process, because that's what we should do. We should, you know, be inspired by others. And it's a tough turn, you know, to make, instead of saying, you know what, why doesn't mine look like that? I don't understand. I'm doing everything the same. We are each unique. But we all create art and we all do it differently and we all do it in different ways. And that's what's fun, to see what many people can create, and even when they're using the same supplies. I think that is really great. Absolutely wonderful. And you know, it was something that I really saw, if you guys remember, for those of you that have been around, you know, I was in that summit in July. And to see people who had that die and create the same thing, it was wonderful. It was the Card Makers Success Summit, and there's another one coming up in February, so stay tuned. If you enjoyed that one, there is another one coming. And yes, me and many other wonderful designers and creators are going to be part of it. So you'll be getting more information on that soon, so stay tuned. Sorry, always go on my tangent. I know nobody likes my tangents, but I like to go on my tangents. Okay. So I'm going to prop the peony up on double-sided foam squares, and I've already placed my leaves down. So I want these leaves coming out, and of course there's 3 leaves because we have to work in odd numbers. And now I'm just making sure that when I put them down with the double-sided foam squares that I don't create this hill because it's gone up because of the raised of the leaves. Now I chose the Happy Birthday from the sentiment pack, and I embossed that in gold on the same cardstock that I used as my base. And I just went around that with a little bit of vintage photo, and again propping that up with some double-sided squares. Now you can see that center, I've got this white. It's driving me crazy because I did try to look for it. So I'm going to pull out my liquid pearls, and this is the bright gold, and I'm just going to fill in that spot. Now I got carried away with filling in that spot, but that's okay. We're just going to add a few more drops going around it. Now I'm just going to come in with a pin, and I'm just going to clean up around it. So that's what I'm doing with that pin. I'm going over that drop that I put in there and just forming it back where it should be. And no one will be the wiser. Perfectly cleaned up. And that is our project for today. So I hope you enjoyed it. Just gave you one way on how you can use this die. As always, the products that I use will be listed down below if you wanted to check them out. And of course, some of them are affiliate links, which means if you use that link to make a purchase, I do get a small commission at no extra cost to you. And I am truly grateful. I'm grateful for many things for you guys. Also, if you have a question, make sure you leave that down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much. I truly do appreciate it, and I am grateful that you took the time to stop by and just watch this video. And as always, I do hope you enjoyed it. Smile, continue to enjoy this process. And again, I hope I gave you an idea, but remember what's most important, and I'm always going to say this, always be creative and enjoy. Till next video, guys. Take care.